Today we're going to look at sales. Last week we talked quite a bit about audience development. We introduced some of the things you can sell. Today we're going to talk about how you go about selling those things and packaging it and putting it together in a way that people see the value. I was talking with a publisher yesterday that we don't work with yet and asked if they offer any digital. She said, no, we offered it, but no one was interested. I'm always curious. What is it they're not interested in? Are they not interested in reaching your audience? Because if that's the case, there's a bigger problem. So we're going to go through, we're going to highlight some of the things we talk about on the training, but also some specifics. As you see it, please do post any questions that you have. Also, if you brought any questions with you, feel free to post those, and we'll either address them one-on-one with the group or afterwards as it makes sense. So as we wrapped up the audience development last week, we highlighted some of the things you can sell. And if you haven't read the blog post that Ryan put together about the 14 revenue opportunities that you have with digital, check it out. The link's below here on the screen, but you go to our blog, I think it's on the second or third page back now, maybe 10 or 12 posts back. But the point here is you've got a lot to sell. And there's a wide range of things that you can do to offer value to your advertisers, both existing advertisers and new ones, right? Everyone fixates on the banner ads, and there is value to that. But if you only go to the banner ads, you're really missing a big opportunity. If you haven't seen our talk about local guides and special advertising sections, which are actually two separate but related things, check out the video of previous office hours that goes into details there. Obviously, the business directory is great. We do drive it on your site for you, but it's something that you can promote. Featured events, newsletter sponsorships, grow your newsletter list. That's something we really want to help you with, and the list goes on. So we're going to continue and look at, okay, well, what is it that you get as an advertiser when you buy one of these? So really quickly, I'm going to run through this. If you have questions, again, post them so I don't go too quickly past something that you want clarified. But a banner ad is great because as an advertiser, it's top of mind. It's promotion. It's very similar for those of you with print businesses to being in print. It's a display ad. Local guides and special advertising sections really align a business with a topic. Now, for guides, it could make them the sponsor of the guide, or for the special advertising section, the sponsor of the section, but it helps align in customers' minds what they do with that topic and sometimes add some real unique perspective. Directory has a lot of value around being present, about being factually represented. Where am I? What's my office hours? Where's my website? How do I get in touch with you, etc. Featured events, well, for bigger local events or events that you really want people to show up for, standing out above the crowd is great. It's a nice promotional opportunity. It does have some SEO and some social implications as well. Email sponsorships are great because they can be incredibly timely. Here in California, where we're at over the weekend, we had highs in the 60s, and this week it's supposed to get within a few degrees of 100. So pretty significant swing. An email newsletter sponsorship, say going to a heating and air conditioning business, could be sent today saying don't miss out getting your air conditioner tuned up, etc. Great time value and really impactful. Social promotions. What can we say that we haven't already on probably any conversation we've had, but these are great because it plays on all the top talking points, including tap into social media in a real way and reach our audience. Sponsored articles, it's about demonstrating expertise, thought leadership, differentiation, however you want to talk about it. If I'm a local business, especially a service provider, the odds are I'm commoditized. If I'm a plumber, how do you pick a plumber? Randomly guessing out of Yelp or Google or Yellow Pages? Okay, well, if I'm a plumber, I want to show that I'm different, I'm unique, I have added value, and I don't just want to compete on price. Although sometimes offers and coupons are really important to driving awareness and first-time customers. Web development may not be something that you can provide, although some of our publishers do that. And if it's not something you can provide, Locable is happy to help. Someone needs a website, we are able to assist that business, and you make some money in the process. Now we have a question come in. How can I get a business to pay for a sponsored article when I've been giving them away for free? Well, Great question. Couple pieces here. If you've been giving them away for free online, what you can do is you can go in and say, we're not doing that anymore. And here's why. And so part of it is about adding more value, right? We're going to tie in your sponsored article to an Ask the Expert column. Or maybe we're going to highlight an upcoming event. We're going to do something that adds more expanded value. Now, keep in mind, a lot of your advertisers don't know you were giving it away for free. So for those that don't know or haven't taken advantage of that, this is a moot point. It's all about demonstrating value. For those that had taken advantage of it, you can say, the reason we're not doing this anymore is that we're giving you more value and it's a little bit more work, and we need to obviously be compensated for that work. It is a promotional activity. So there's a few variations of the sponsored articles. I'm not going to get into the details all that much on this call, but if you have an example, Pamela, let's connect offline or at the end of this call where you can show me an example or tell me about a business who did something, and we can probably walk through something with more specifics. I also will highlight a new feature we have introduced at the end of this call about assigning authorship, which makes running things like Ask the Expert columns more powerful. And for you as a print publisher, you can combine a print campaign with a set of web advertorials to make them work together in a more comprehensive way. So it's definitely looking for ways to put the two together. And print, obviously, for those of you with print publications, it's a great branding exercise, reaches your audience, and print has a high engagement rate. So the point here is, as you start thinking about selling, we want you to feel really comfortable with the fact that each thing that we sell has a unique value. And you can't just simply go, well, I want to grow my business, so I'm going to cherry pick directory upgrades because it's the lowest cost. They're not interchangeable, at least not directly. So again, this is meant to be a quick reminder when we do the sales training or we revisit that. We're happy to give more details about this as well, but sell the value first. Now, we talk a lot about this. Ryan, when he does sales training, talks about the importance of creating packages. Packages simplify the process for your advertisers. I see a lot of media kits, which are really a list of rates. And the rates are important, clearly, but if I don't understand what it is you're selling, if I literally don't understand what a social promotion is, let alone what the value is, it's hard for me to evaluate that as a viable investment. And so packages are a way to reach people where they're at, help them self-select, but it's also a way about solving a problem. Right. So as you start to go through that process, what are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish? What are your biggest challenges? What are your concerns? As they're giving you this information and you're listening to the advertisers, you're able to come in and pick the things that will get them the most value. And of course, their budget makes a difference as well. Now, I'm going to talk through a few different examples. I'm going to ask Ryan to chime in a little bit as well. You're going to notice we've got some pricing built in. At the end, we'll show you how we get to the pricing. It assumes some discounts and so forth. But, for a bank, for instance, which the great thing about banks and credit unions is that they're everywhere. So this works for you. And most local banks are really focused on the community. They want to demonstrate community involvement. They want to show that that's how they're different from the big banks and so forth. And so for them, they're likely going to be one of your bigger advertisers in print, online, etc. So they'll combine a combination of display ads, say a push down and a wide skyscraper, because they want to be top of mind, and they can mix in some digital ads that highlight different talking points and so forth. They might be a newsletter sponsorship where at different times they're calling out different things, changing in interest rates, etc. And then they might sponsor a social promotion. We've seen this happen with the blogger contest, where you're looking for bloggers and a bank would love to be the backer of that. We're all about building community. We want to find the people who are dedicated to building community and care about it and connect them with the publisher we know and love. And it's clearly drawing that line in the sand that, hey, does Chase or Bank of America or any of the big banks, are they doing this? No, because we're the hometown bank. So Ryan, share a little bit about how you came to this pricing and just as a for instance. Obviously, pricing varies by site and by market and by all those things.
Yeah, so we'll get into the details of what I'm about to say in a few slides, but we use what we call a sum of the parts methodology, meaning I look at what all the individual prices are for each component that I'm including, and then I apply some sort of discount based on the number of things in that bundle. Um, so I won't go any more into it there, but suffice it to say here, the push down a wide skyscraper and newsletter I believe comes out to somewhere around 300, and because of all the stuff they're doing, I put a 20% discount on it. The social promotion is outside of that because it's a one-time fee for the entire promotion. It may last 1 to 2 to 3 months depending on what type of promotion you're doing, and it's a nice complement to the ongoing monthly kind of remain top of mind and highlight interest rates or better service or whatever their quality is that they're trying to communicate.
And the package is a powerful thing for a few reasons. If you think back to the earlier days of computers, Microsoft Office didn't exist, and so there were different pieces of software for word processing, like WordPerfect, and there was different spreadsheet companies like um, whatever it was, 1, 2, 3, I can't even remember, and different for presentations. And so Microsoft came in with products that were, in their case, not actually as good, but they packaged them up into a suite. They shrink wrapped it and they made it easy to buy. And now they're, of course, the dominant force with Office. And so by packaging things together in a thoughtful way, you can add a tremendous amount of value. You also solve another problem. For a lot of our sites that are just launching, your traffic is not, shall I say, substantial. So the explicit value of a banner ad is not as high as it will be as you sort of execute. By doing a package, you're able to obscure the individual pricing so that someone doesn't simply come to you and say, well, I can go buy so many impressions at this other site for this price, and you're this price. It creates an apples and oranges situation, which is what we want. And we also want to make sure that um, that you're able to communicate that there's more value, right? I mean, that it's an entirely different situation than just buying a banner ad, because people can buy banner ads wherever. The next option is a fitness center. Again, they're everywhere. They do a lot of promotion because, again, think about it. Okay, am I going to go to 24-hour fitness? Here we're at, there's sort of a regional chain. There's all these different folks, including the independents, and so they're trying to differentiate. And so whether it's family friendliness, whether it's how strong the staff is and you can be too, or whatever the vibe of the fitness center is that they're trying to put out. And so, again, you've got a mix of ads, in this case, slightly lower level ads than the bank. Advertorials, yes, you can combine video, you can combine Ask the Expert. So all these different mediums can be pulled together, and it can talk about different things. What should I consider when I'm trying to get in shape after years of not being in shape? How do I avoid sort of going out and getting hurt or getting burned out or whatever? And then how, people can progress through. And so whatever the talking points are for the fitness center, they can play into that. They might even go so far as to sponsor a guide. Maybe in their case, they want to sponsor the local trail guide because they want to encourage you to get out and run and bike and so forth. And so while it doesn't explicitly promote their business, it's the values that they esteem. Likewise, they might do a social promotion. Now, we've seen these run a number of different ways. Sometimes at the weekly level, which is what Ryan has in the pricing here. Sometimes you'll do a new year, new you sort of thing, or a biggest loser thing, or something that has a longer duration where you can play on these themes. By the way, you can't use biggest loser in that exact phrasing, otherwise I'm sure there'll be some copyright infringement. But the concept you can definitely borrow. So you can do all sorts of challenges and so forth. So there's lots of options for the social promotions, and of course they're happy to give away a couple months free or some training or so forth to get people in the door. So a lot of options with your fitness centers and schools. Obviously, public schools are one thing, but you see a lot of private schools, a lot of faith-based schools trying to get the name out there. There's a lot of different websites for schools, but like most, it's fragmented. And so they can piggyback on your brand. Again, you've got this mix, right? Guides obviously playing nicely. And when you talk about some of the guides, or when you look at the guides that we talked about previously and how you can do upgrades within the guides in addition to the directory, that makes a whole nother level of opportunity here.
There's a few things that I'd like to highlight on this particular example. Is a guide is a really great opportunity for schools, and to add to the list that he said, colleges are also, or junior colleges are great prospects for this type of campaign. But going to school is a really important decision for many people, and you have an opportunity to kind of take your editorial seal of approval and put a guide together about all the schools in your area. Now, I actually drew this example from Mansfield Magazine, and I might butcher the name here, but Tarleton State, which is a big state school in Texas, has a local campus in Midlothian, I'm not really sure the pronunciation, which is right near where Mansfield's published. It's about 30 miles away. So they're not necessarily, in this case, highlighting their entire school, they're highlighting the local campus. So I included directory listing in here because that's a nice way for them to highlight that there's a local campus nearby. You can put that message in the banner ads. The guide can help the people from Mansfield decide, here are my options in the area. Now, in this case, the guide might be something that you put together along with Tarleton, but it's ultimately you, the publisher, that is writing it, and you have your kind of editorial control there. It just happens to be that they have their ad on the top of it saying, hey, we help bring this guide to you. We want to help you make an informed decision, and oh, by the way, we think we're the right choice for you. So this one's a little bit more nuanced than the other ones, but I wanted to point out a few of the considerations I was kind of contemplating while I was putting this together, and I hope you find that helpful, a little bit more insight into the thought process.
And I hope that you're picking up on the subtlety here. You're getting paid to help a business differentiate themselves, but in that process, you're helping to educate consumers so they can make better, more well-informed decisions. So this isn't just a how can I extract more money from my community thing. It's how can I strengthen my community, help people make the right matches. I mean, you clearly are already doing this in some ways. This is about expanding that and creating new opportunities to do that. So Ryan will talk through a little bit of the sum of the parts approach. Again, this is part art, part science, and the recognition of the fact that we want advertisers to get involved.
Yeah, so I started to talk about this earlier, and this will just put some numbers to it. Now, these numbers come from our baseline rate card, which we think is a good starting point, but as Brian just said, every market is different. For those of you that have been on a training call with me, I say you'll know very quickly whether the prices are too high or too low. If you have a couple conversations and people are jumping at it really quickly, likely you can charge more. And vice versa, if you're having a few conversations and people think you're out of your mind, then you're probably charging a little bit too much, and you need to kind of hone in on what your prices will be. But for the sake of this conversation, we'll use our normal baseline rates. In this case, a push down and a sidebar ad are $120 and $90 respectively, so that's a total of $210. Sponsored content, this could be an advertorial or whatever, one a month for this example is $100. Newsletter sponsorship is $100 as a banner ad on your newsletter that you send out, say, monthly or weekly, depending on your frequency. And I include this, what we call promoted Facebook posts. This could be a social share or whatever. But the idea is likely you're going to be sharing the articles to Facebook. You might say something on your Facebook page about businesses. You're going to be kind of cross-linking and doing all that stuff. There's some value in that is very difficult to calculate, but it is valuable because it ties everything together. So in this case, I'm not going to assign a value, but know that when you add all of these things up, it's at least $410 worth of value you're delivering, if not a little bit more because of the zero in that calculation. Now, I've bundled a lot of things together here, so I'm going to say I'm going to apply a 20% discount because you're buying a package with us, and that's how I get to $330 per month. I like to say for the print publishers on the call, if they are an existing print advertiser, I'd give them a little bit another discount on top of that. In this case, I'm saying 20%. So their digital package would only be $264 a month. Now let's say, just for argument's sake, you only had a push down ad and a sponsored content component. Maybe I only do a 10% discount. If I do three, maybe it's 15. I mean, it's kind of publisher discretion here, but I'm usually somewhere in that 5 to 20% range on the discount in terms of bundling. And that's how we kind of come up with the prices for any package. Take the individual components, sum them up, apply a discount, and now you have a tool while you're going out and thinking, hey, this person should do a banner ad, and we want them on the calendar page, so we'll do a skyscraper, and we're going to do a social promotion. You add all that up. Now you have the tool in your pocket to sit there and be like, all right, let me just do a quick calculation. All right, here's your monthly price. Anything to add, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, part of me really hates showing this because I know there's a propensity for salespeople to think that any pushback that they get is from price. And so there's this seemingly gravitational pull towards the lowest possible price to give out, even though the value exceeds it. I had a conversation with one of our newer publishers who shared that she had gone on some sales calls with her reps after not going out for a couple of years, and she was learning that they were basically doing the 12-month rate without the 12-month commitment, and so everyone was getting the maximum discount. And that what digital was allowing her to do was reverse that and basically layer in digital and back out of some of those bad agreements to where now they were giving, let's say, effectively the 3-month rate for a 6-month commitment. And so it was allowing to change that dynamics. And so I really want you to be careful not to go out and go, oh, well, they're doing these 4 things. I guess we have to give them a 50% discount, right? Don't get too overly aggressive. You want your rate card to mean something. At the same time, we want to respect the fact that they're buying a bundle, that they're a print advertiser if you have print, and so forth. And on that note, if someone is really pressing you and they're really saying, well, I just for my own ego, I need to know I'm getting something for free or whatever. We've all met these types of people. Don't give away ads. Ads are finite. You have an ad show and it's paid or it's not paid. What you can trade on, if you must, is advertorials, because you don't just get paid for advertorials, you get content, you get SEO, you get the ability for people to share it socially. So if you have to do something that you're not going to get paid for or not get what appears to be a fair rate for, make sure that it's content. And also make sure that you go, look, if I'm going to do this for you, you need to share it to your Facebook page. You need to link to it from your website. You need to include it in your email list so that your customers, sorry, I'm wearing the publisher hat, talking to the advertiser who's putting pressure on me. You need to promote this as well. So then at least you're getting the advertiser's content and you're getting them to send people to you. That's not a terrible thing, right? You're getting paid for some package and getting some content. But let me say, we've had many large businesses, as in Nationwide Insurance, pay us more than $100 per post to post content on one single site. So there is value here, and the key is helping people appreciate what it is.
Yeah, along those same lines, we're sharing this, as Brian was starting to allude to, for your benefit, right? We want you to feel comfortable with how to come up with pricing. I would never go into this level of detail with a prospective advertiser. It's just not something they need to see. I mean, I want you to have the tool so that you can come up with a price on the spot, or, I want you to have this tool so that you can, think about what, your standard, starter, intermediate, and advanced packages may look like. But the detail is more for you than it is for your advertisers.
So when it comes to what you put out there, we're going to talk about the Media Kit and Rate Card. And we've got a very rough cut sort of starting point for Media Kits, which if you'd like a copy, we're happy to provide you if we haven't already. It is not meant to be a final product. But let me talk first about what the goals are of a Media Kit should be. Now, this may seem obvious to you, but I can tell you we have yet to find a publisher whose Media Kit really wows us. So, and I mean, just even looking at the print side. So obviously you want to visually demonstrate your brand, especially if you're a magazine where you're highly visual anyways. But in all cases, give people something to look at. What do you mean by a banner ad? Where would it appear? I have no concept of this. Make it obvious for them. If there are relevant statistics that you'd like to brag about, do it. If there aren't, don't. However, you should have some social proof. Amazing results, says such and such local business. So you want to highlight that. Credibility goes a long way. You also want people to know what's on the menu. If you're saying contact us to learn more in your media kit, well, they've already contacted you. Give them what they need to understand, and ideally give them a sense of things. As we said, local businesses are not good marketers. They don't understand digital. There's a lot of misinformation. So use simple ways to communicate that visually, and also play on the things that you know they want. They want to reach your audience. They want to get in front of people. They want to get more customers. Use those buzzwords. Obviously, you want particulars like placements and specs and deadlines and so forth, and then pricing and whatnot as well. Again, Ryan says here, popular packages. This isn't to say that you can't do something unique, but give a few common ones and give them titles that people will embrace. There's a reason gold, silver, bronze has emerged, because people like to think of themselves as being gold. So the odds are they're going to upgrade simply because of their own personal ego. So it gives you a way to pull up. Now, you may want to do gold, silver, bronze. You might want to talk about things a little differently, but don't call them package 1, 2, and 3, please. So what are some common mistakes that we see? We see a lot of advertised pages online that are bland and boring, not easy to scan. Use images, use text thoughtfully, and use it as a way to sell. I mean, you're always selling. If they're looking at your advertising page, you're really always selling. Also, don't have separate kits for print and digital. Ideally, don't even have a separate rate card, although if you have a good reason to separate your rate card from your media kit, I won't fight you, but you need to have one media kit. Notice it's not called a print kit. So one media kit for all of your opportunities. And please don't have an 8-page print media kit and on the back cover there's a quarter of a page that says here's a few digital options. If it's not very important to you, it's not going to be very important to your advertisers. A one-pager is nice as an introduction, but probably not as your entire media kit. So unless you figured it out, at which point we'd love to see it, you need a little bit more info on there to educate. And not having sample packages makes it really hard. We've said this a few times, but businesses look at it and go, all right, that one's $20 a month. I'm in for that one. They get you off their back for $20 a month. They don't know if there's any value, but you're going to stop bothering them. Give them a package to understand. And don't focus only on banner ads. We see this a lot. People go through our sales training. They're all excited about all the ways they're going to make money. And when they go out, they say, here's a banner ad. Well, people aren't going to come back to you and say, well, aren't you missing all of these other things I can buy? You need to make it really clear and simple for them. Again, packages are a great way to do that. So we keep talking about Mansfield Magazine. Lisa, if you're on the call, it's because she talks to us and she gives us feedback, and then she goes and she puts it into play. And not everything goes perfectly, and there's a refinement process, but she's making this effort, and she's done a nice job. And so Ryan's done a nice job here of sort of picking apart her media kit. I'll let him talk to the details, but I want to highlight the one thing that in my first impression when I looked at this stood out to me more than everything else. And that's that little underlined red, who we reach. We often see publishers really fixate on where they're distributed. And this is a subtle thing, but why is it that people buy ads? They buy ads, they pay you effectively to get in front of people, your audience, the who. Now, clearly the where matters, but focus on the who, the audience. And she does that here. Now, you can see just below, she highlights the where so that there's that correlation piece. But, I could print 20,000 copies and go drop them in dumpsters around those same markets and I wouldn't reach anyone, but it's in that market. And so you really want to play on this so people can connect the dots with your audience.
Yeah, I don't know if I have too much to add to this slide. I wanted to include it in here so that you could see an example. I mean, I had to pick. It's hard to share a print publication digitally without sending the entire PDF. So for the sake of this, I just kind of picked out the parts that popped out at me. It's got a nice table of contents. You can see what was included. She uses a lot of graphics that are good looking and they stand out to you. You can see she has ad rates. She has packages together. I think they're one page apart, but they're all part of the same section. And then she has an editorial calendar with all her deadlines on it, which is really important. You even have the focus, back to school issue, the autumn air, annual holiday issue, etc. So it's kind of giving cues to businesses. It's almost the same concept of the local guides on your website. I did want to back up to the previous slide real quick, if you wouldn't mind, and just point one more thing out. On that first point, not posting a text image-based version, this doesn't mean that you can't also post the PDF for people to download. It just means that for various reasons, people are going to come to the website looking for information, and you want to present it in a good way, and not, if they're just looking for a quick answer, they may not want to take the time to download your entire kit and read it. It's great for SEO. People, advertisers might be looking for new ways to promote their business. They'll find you online. If it's not text-based, that opportunity goes right out the window. So I just wanted to add that. I think it's an important point. They're not mutually exclusive, but both are equally important.
That's great. Thanks for adding that. And what I'll close on with our Media Kit talk is that the other thing we see a lot, not just in Media Kits, but just generally when people are promoting their business, is there's a lot of talk about us, we, what we can do, why we're great, all of this. And I think it's important to make sure that your language is, here's your benefit, here's what you get. Now, it's fine to have a section that says, because we're great at doing these things, because we've invested in our community. But it's not the what, it's the how, right? The what is, how can we help you grow your business? Let me tell you. The how is because we do these smart things that make us unique. So hopefully you'll see that there's a good focus on actually meeting your advertisers' objectives more than telling them why you're so good at doing what it is that you do. Okay. I'm going to close with a few tech updates. Hopefully this was a useful call in that if you have any questions, you can start typing them in now or follow up with us offline. We want to make sure that you're doing all the things you can to really maximize your revenue potential, even when people first come to your website and when they download your Media Kit and so forth. So we'd love to see any changes that you make in your Media Kit and any feedback that you get about your Media Kit. We'd love to ingest that, and then maybe in 3 or 4 months, do a follow-up, highlight a few of your Media Kits, and see how things are progressing from there. Okay, a couple quick tech updates. We did, just in the last week, squash a bunch of bugs and do a lot of small improvements that were important but not worth identifying here sort of by name. We did do some things to improve our image processing, which is great. It's faster now. It's going to continue to get faster, but structurally it's faster, and that's obviously better. The assign authorship piece. We still need to put together a tutorial on this, but you can now, if you go in and create an article, you'll see an option to assign author. And you can assign authorship to any existing user on the system. So you might say, well, I want to make this an advertiser who's not currently a user on the system. It's an advertorial. Well, simple fix. Before you write the article, send them an invite. You can invite them to be a member. That's the same level of access as if I walk in off the street and say sign up. So you can invite them to be a member, and once you've hit the invite button, now they technically live on the system even before they confirm and create their account. So you can then assign them authorship. Now, what does this mean? Well, it means that any comments that appear on the author or on the article will be sent, a notification email will be sent to the author so that they can come back and comment. So you might have a financial planner doing top 5 things to prepare for retirement, post your questions, and people are posting it, notifies them. So they come and they can reply and they can really play up the Ask the Expert piece. Now, you as a publisher or an editor or whatnot, you can still choose to be notified of comments, separate issue altogether. Basically, it has 2 main benefits. The first is comment notification for the author, and the second is that the byline will show the name of the person that you've assigned it to as opposed to you or whatnot. One of the common requests we've had was changing byline because I'm posting for other people. Now you can do that and get the benefit of having this association in the database. Please do this. If you're assigning bylines, don't just say published by, so-and-so magazine. Assign the authorship. Because what's going to happen, aside from these two main things that I just said, is in the next, 4 or 5 months, we're going to be introducing some social networking features. And as people have posted content, even through the assigned method, it will pull all associated articles in to their bio, and it will add more information. So I'm foreshadowing a little bit. I'm not going into any more detail there. Just know it's worth the effort. If you didn't write it, assign it to the real author and make sure that they're in the system. With that, we have covered